In this podcast episode, Ben Shapiro discusses various political developments, including Nikki Haley dropping out of the presidential race after Donald Trump's dominant performance on Super Tuesday. He highlights how Trump's victories in key states like South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia, and California made it clear that Haley had no chance of securing the nomination. Shapiro also criticizes Haley for not endorsing Trump after dropping out, suggesting that it may be a political misstep on her part. Shapiro analyzes Trump's victory speech, where the former president claimed his nomination and criticized Joe Biden on issues like migrant crime and inflation. He points out that immigration was a top issue for Republicans in the exit polls, reflecting a broader concern among Americans. Shapiro notes that Democrats, including former Press Secretary Jen Psaki, mocked Republicans for caring about immigration, highlighting a disconnect between the parties on this issue. Shapiro discusses the retirement of Senator Kristen Sinema, a centrist Democrat from Arizona, and the Democratic Party's decision to push her out in favor of a more progressive candidate, Ruben Gallego. He explains how this move reflects a broader shift to the left within the party, potentially alienating moderate voters in states like Arizona. Shapiro emphasizes the importance of appealing to the middle ground in elections and criticizes both parties for moving away from this approach. Shapiro previews Joe Biden's upcoming State of the Union address, highlighting the heightened stakes for the president amid concerns about his age and vitality. He notes that while the speech is often overrated, Biden's physical performance and delivery will be closely scrutinized given his recent struggles with public speaking. Shapiro predicts that the address will be more about how badly Biden performs rather than any memorable rhetoric or policy announcements. Shapiro addresses Biden's claim that he is winning in the polls, pointing out that recent surveys show him losing in 3 out of 5 polls. He highlights Biden's tendency to read stage directions out loud during press conferences, showcasing his struggles with public speaking and cognitive issues. Shapiro emphasizes the importance of transparency and honesty in political leadership, suggesting that Biden's missteps could impact his credibility with voters. Shapiro criticizes the Biden administration for pushing for a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas, despite Hamas rejecting previous ceasefire offers. He points out that the administration's focus on a ceasefire without addressing the issue of hostages held by Hamas shows a lack of understanding of the situation. He highlights the administration's failure to acknowledge Hamas's role in the conflict and its history of violence against Israel. Shapiro discusses Judith Butler's controversial comments justifying Hamas's actions as an act of resistance. He criticizes Butler for downplaying the violence and terrorism perpetrated by Hamas, portraying them as victims rather than aggressors. He points out the dangerous implications of Butler's narrative, which seeks to rewrite morality and justify terrorist actions. Shapiro delves into the broader issue of left-wing support for Hamas and the rewriting of morality within the Democratic Party. He explains how the left's alignment with Hamas stems from a desire to tear down Judeo-Christian moral values and dismantle the existing system. He highlights the dangerous consequences of this coalition, where groups with conflicting ideologies end up on the same side due to their shared goal of undermining traditional moral values. Shapiro emphasizes the importance of addressing the underlying malady of radical left thought that has permeated Western society. He warns that treating symptoms like the moral ambivalence towards Israel and Hamas without addressing the root cause will only lead to further deterioration. He stresses the need to confront and challenge the radical ideologies that seek to undermine traditional values and principles.